All right, y'all, hold on to your seats because what the FBI just leaked about D4D might be the most insane twist in this entire case so far. 6 new calls from his phone made just hours before the murder. Yeah, you heard that right. 6 calls that nobody, and I mean nobody, was supposed to know about. Now, here's where it gets wild. Because these calls, they weren't to his manager, they weren't to his friends. They were to 3 unknown numbers, one disconnected line, and one that was traced back to a burner phone found near the crime scene. So tell me, y'all, what are we supposed to do with that? Coincidence or a cover-up that just cracked wide open? Fans are freaking out, the internet's in chaos, and even the so-called inside sources who swore he was innocent are suddenly real quiet. Because if these leaked call logs are real, then everything we thought we knew about this case just flipped upside down. So grab your popcorn because this isn't just another celebrity scandal. This might be the moment the FBI finally decides to go all in.
All right, let's start from the top because this story, it's not just another internet rumor. It's a full-blown FBI leak that's got everybody from TikTok detectives to late-night hosts whispering the same question. What was D4vd really doing in those final hours before the murder? Now, here's the thing. When this case first broke, people thought it was simple. A tragedy, an argument gone wrong, a pop star in the wrong place at the wrong time. But with these newly uncovered call logs, that whole wrong place, wrong time defense, yeah, it's starting to sound more like caught in the act. According to reports that somehow made their way out of the FBI's Digital Evidence Unit, and yes, these were screenshots circulating on encrypted forums before getting wiped clean, D4vd's phone registered 6 outgoing calls in the span of 2 hours before his ex-girlfriend's murder. 6 calls that weren't part of the official case file presented to the public. And that's what's got everyone talking. Because if those calls were accidentally omitted from the evidence list, that's one thing, but if they were intentionally hidden, that's a cover-up, and a big one. The first call was made at 9:47 p.m., just hours before the shooting. The number, when traced, supposedly matched a prepaid SIM card bought in cash at a gas station 2 towns over. The second and third calls? Both to unknown numbers, with no owner information, no registered name, nothing. Burner phones. Classic move when somebody doesn't want their conversations traced. The fourth call, this is the one that's driving everyone crazy, was allegedly to a disconnected police tip line. Yeah, you heard that right. D4vd's phone dialed an internal law enforcement number that isn't open to the public. Now, who even has that number? That's where the theories start flying. Some say he was trying to call in a warning, that maybe he knew something was about to happen. Others, and this is where the conspiracy crowd goes wild, say he was communicating with someone inside the investigation. By 11:30 p.m., 2 more calls went out. One of them lasted 42 seconds, just enough time for a code, a location, or a threat. And that last one, it pinged off a cell tower 3 blocks from the crime scene. Let that sink in. If those logs are accurate, and several anonymous forensic analysts online claim they verified the timestamps, then that means D4vd's phone was active and nearby when the murder went down. Now, D4vd's team, of course, denies all of it. His lawyer released a 2-sentence statement saying the reports are fabricated. Mr. D4vd has fully cooperated with authorities. But here's the kicker. That statement came before the FBI confirmed the leaks were under review. Translation, somebody inside that office might have hit send a little too soon. And if you've been following D4vd's history, this isn't the first time he's found himself in the middle of chaos. The guy went from being a quiet, introspective artist to the internet's favorite dark prince overnight. Moody visuals, cryptic lyrics, Instagram stories that disappear faster than they're posted. Remember that one line from his song, Leave Me Cold? They said I'd never bury secrets deep enough, but I did. Yeah, that line just aged really badly. Fans are pulling apart every lyric, every music video frame, every outfit he wore in the week leading up to the murder, looking for clues. One viral TikTok with over 6 million views claims that his last performance in LA had subliminal messages about guilt and betrayal, with fans swearing he mouthed the words "forgive me" before the final chorus. Now, maybe that's just performance art, or maybe It's the confession nobody caught. Let's go even deeper. A former studio engineer who's now deleted all his posts claimed that D4vd seemed paranoid during his last recording session. He kept checking his phone, pacing around, mumbling about being watched. At one point, he just stopped mid-track and said, "They already know. I can't stop it now." Creepy, right? But that's not even the weirdest part. Because according to an internal memo that somehow ended up on a Reddit thread before getting scrubbed, one of those 6 phone numbers was tied to an unregistered VoIP account created just hours earlier, using the same email address linked to his music royalties. Meaning whoever D4vd was calling might have been using a digital alias connected directly to his own finances. You can't make this up. And it gets darker. Security footage from outside his apartment complex, again leaked and blurred, allegedly shows a figure matching his build, leaving in a hoodie at 10:02 p.m., carrying what looks like a duffel bag. The timestamp? Right between the second and third calls. Coincidence? Maybe, but when you start stacking all these details, the burner phones, the ghost calls, the mysterious emails, it's starting to look less like bad luck and more like planning. And fans know it. Hashtags like David calls, FBI leak, and 6 before midnight have completely taken over X, formerly Twitter. Influencers are doing deep dives, podcasts are running emergency episodes, and true crime YouTubers? Oh, they're eating. One creator even pulled up public FCC data showing that one of the call tower pings matched a location tied to a warehouse David used for a secret creative retreat. So, what was he really doing out there? Recording new music? Or hiding something darker? The energy online right now is wild. Half the internet's convinced he's guilty, the other half says he's being framed. Memes, reaction videos, even AI voice recreations of the supposed phone calls are going viral. But beneath all the chaos, there's one detail that nobody can seem to explain. How did the FBI call data leak in the first place? Because according to cybersecurity experts, those records were sealed under a federal non-disclosure order. Only 6 people were authorized to access them. So unless one of those 6 people turned whistleblower, someone high up might be playing both sides. And that's where things start getting dangerous. Because if the leaks keep coming, if even more evidence starts slipping out, we might be watching the slow-motion collapse of an entire cover-up live on social media. And y'all, that's just the beginning, because we haven't even touched what those phone calls were about or who was on the other end of that last one. That's where things go from suspicious to straight-up chilling. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we're breaking down who answered those calls, what was said, and why it might completely rewrite the timeline of that night. This is where it gets dark.
Rumors are swirling that D4vd's ex-girlfriend had access to his royalty accounts, and that she threatened to expose missing funds. And suddenly, the motive starts to sound a whole lot clearer. By the time police arrived, D4vd was nowhere to be found. Security footage shows him pulling out of his driveway at 11:38 p.m., driving what appears to be a rented black SUV. He resurfaced 2 days later, posting a cryptic Instagram caption that read, "Everything they said I did, I probably did, but not like that." The post was deleted within 10 minutes, but not before racking up over 400,000 likes and screenshots across every gossip page imaginable. And just like that, the narrative flipped. Was this a confession, a taunt, or an artist blurring the line between truth and performance again? The internet's divided into 2 camps: the believers, who say the FBI leak is proof he was involved, that this was premeditated, and those calls were part of the setup. 2, the defenders, who think it's all fake, that the leaks were planted by industry insiders trying to destroy him before his next album drops. And guess what? The defenders have their own receipts. They claim that timestamps in the supposed FBI files don't match D4vd's known flight schedule. He was allegedly en route from LA to Miami at the same time 2 of those calls went out, which, if true, means someone cloned his number or someone wants us to think he did it. Either way, this isn't over, not even close, because if those 6 calls were all about setting something in motion, the next big question is, what exactly were they planning? And in the next part, oh, trust me, we're going to connect those calls to a full-blown operation that might expose who's really been pulling the strings behind this entire case. Stay right where you are, because this is where the story blows open. So the question now is, what exactly were they planning? Because according to new chatter from those so-called insiders, those 6 calls weren't just random, panicked moments before a crime. They were orchestrated steps in a preset plan. A plan that, if true, goes way beyond D4vd. And here's where it gets downright chilling. One of the anonymous whistleblowers allegedly tied to the FBI case, who calls himself Shadow Circuit, told an underground blog the calls were never about the victim. They were about what she knew. What she knew? Apparently, D4vd's ex-girlfriend, the same one found dead that night, had access to encrypted voice memos and notes from his iCloud, and she'd been threatening to leak them to a journalist. The files reportedly detailed how D4vd and a few high-profile collaborators laundered millions through fake charity performances and ghost tour dates. And that's when the timeline starts making sense. Those 6 calls weren't desperate. They were coordinated, each one to a different contact, each serving a specific purpose. Call number 1, a cleanup crew, allegedly to retrieve items from his house. Call number 2, his rumored girlfriend Lena, who may have been acting as a decoy. Call number 3, the burner number tied to David Lenz, possibly the handler. Call number 4, a silent message to a label rep traced to the defunct company. Call number 5, the police dispatcher who may have wiped the records. Call number 6, a call confirming that it's done. It sounds like a movie, right? Except this time, the movie might be real, because one of the cleaners, an anonymous man only referred to as T, was allegedly spotted by neighbors entering D4vd's property the next morning before investigators arrived with a search warrant. Security footage reportedly shows him carrying a large duffel bag out the side door. The bag was never found. Now the plot thickens, because 2 days later, that same man was detained briefly in Houston for possession of unregistered firearms, but mysteriously released without charges. No mugshot, no record, nothing. And that's when fans started connecting dots that the media never did. One viral thread on X, formerly Twitter, breaks it down like this. D4vd wasn't covering a crime, he was covering a network. The murder was the message, the trigger was the calls. And what network are we talking about? Apparently, there's speculation that several artists linked to D4vd's label were involved in a cryptocurrency laundering ring masked as NFT drops and tour promotions. It's wild, but not impossible. And the craziest part? Screenshots supposedly show transactions linked to the same Bitcoin wallet the FBI seized in another celebrity fraud case last year. Now, if that's even 1% true, this goes way beyond jealousy or revenge. This becomes a federal case, and that's exactly what sources claim is happening behind closed doors. A leaked internal memo from the Financial Crimes Division, which, by the way, hasn't been verified, reportedly lists D4vd as a person of interest in an ongoing money laundering probe, and yet, no official statement, no arrests, no warrants, just silence. But the silence might be intentional, because another insider came forward on a YouTube channel called Real Eyes Only and said, there are sealed indictments waiting to drop. Multiple people, multiple states. He also claimed that D4vd's phone wasn't even fully decrypted yet, meaning there's still more data waiting to surface.
You know what that means? Those 6 calls might just be the tip of the iceberg. There could be more. Hidden and deleted backups, private apps, even voice command histories. And if that's true, there's no telling how deep this goes. But here's the part that's got everyone talking. The day after those call logs leaked, a video started circulating online. A 14-second clip allegedly showing D4vd in a studio pacing back and forth while saying, they don't even know what's coming. They think this is over. It's just starting. Some say it's fake, some swear it's real. But either way, it's spreading like wildfire. And fans? They're divided. Again, half the internet's calling him the mastermind of his own downfall, while others say he's being framed by the industry. One viral TikTok sums it up perfectly.
He's not running from justice, he's running from the puppeteers who built him. Wild. Meanwhile, D4vd's legal team dropped their first cryptic statement last night, calling the leaks false, fabricated, and designed to destroy a young man's future. But guess what? Within hours of that post going live, a different leak hit Reddit. Allegedly, an internal FBI summary labeled D-Case 142 Music Industry Extortion. The file supposedly includes a transcript of a private text chain between D4vd and an unnamed producer X, where D4vd wrote, "You said if I handled it, we'd be square. Well, it's handled." Fans went nuclear. Handled what? They asked. What does square mean? And the more his lawyers tried to deny, the deeper the internet dug. But maybe the most chilling part of all came just 2 days ago, when D4vd finally appeared in public for the first time since the leaks dropped. Cameras caught him leaving a private studio in Miami, dressed in all black, face covered, refusing to answer questions. But one reporter swears he muttered something under his breath. According to the reporter's tweet, he looked straight at me and said, "You think they'll stop after me?" Let that sink in for a second. You think they'll stop after me. That doesn't sound like a guilty man. That sounds like someone who knows too much, someone who's next in line to be silenced. And here's where the real twist comes in. Because just hours after that footage went viral, the official FBI website mysteriously went down for scheduled maintenance. Coincidence? Maybe. But conspiracy channels are already calling it a digital blackout, claiming that too much classified information got out and someone hit the panic button. Some users even noticed that several archived FBI pages connected to entertainment cases were temporarily inaccessible. So either this is the biggest coincidence of the year, or something massive is being cleaned up behind the scenes. And let's not forget the fans who are now treating this whole saga like a true crime mystery series. There are TikTokers mapping out the timeline minute by minute, YouTubers creating theory boards, Reddit threads analyzing background noises and leaked audios, trying to identify what city he was in based on birds chirping in the distance. It's obsessive, it's chaotic, it's everywhere. But underneath all the memes and jokes, there's this haunting question nobody can shake. If D4vd really didn't do it, then who did? Who was using his phone that night? Who knew about the 6 calls, and who had something to gain from the victim's death? Because if the leak is to be believed, those calls weren't cries for help, they were orders. And someone out there is still following them. Which brings us full circle. Back to that night. Back to those final 17 seconds of that last call. No one knows what was said, no one knows who answered. But what we do know is this. Hours later, a young woman was gone, and a rising star's life was changed forever. Coincidence or consequence? That's the question burning across every screen tonight. And as more files leak, as more anonymous sources emerge, and as D4vd himself stays silent, one thing's becoming painfully clear. This wasn't just one bad night. This was a warning. A warning that in the world of fame, money, and secrets, truth doesn't just get buried, it gets erased. So now the question is, after everything we've uncovered tonight, after the 6 mysterious calls, the missing duffel bag, and the whispers of FBI silence, what do you believe? Do you think D4vd is guilty? Or is he just another pawn? Another artist swallowed whole by a system that chews people up and spits them out when they know too much? Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. This case doesn't feel finished. It doesn't even feel close. Too many details don't line up. Too many coincidences hit at the exact same time. And the way the internet is reacting, it's clear the world smells something rotten.
Maybe those 6 calls were his final plea for help. Maybe they were warnings. Or maybe they were the start of something much, much bigger than any of us realize. And if that's the case, we're looking at one of the wildest, darkest cover-ups in modern music history. So tell me, what's your take? Drop your theories in the comments right now, because this story isn't over, not by a long shot. And if you've been watching this far, you already know the truth always leaks eventually. Make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're not done digging. The next drop might just blow the lid off everything we thought we knew. Stay tuned, because when the next leak hits, you'll want to be here first.